Hi everyone, me again. How are you all? So we've made it through the first week. We're now in the second week and I decided that I'd try and do a few videos. So today I thought I would try a cooking video. Now we've joked about this in Stepping Stones before. How it's going to turn out, I don't know, but let's give it a try. So today I thought I'd do a very simple recipe for cheese biscuits. It can use up all the little scraps, bits and pieces that you've got left in the house, and there's very few ingredients needed. You are going to need some scales, obviously, so that you can weigh out the ingredients, and you will need a bowl, possibly a spoon. You might like to use your fingers, that's fine. You might need a cooking tray to put your biscuits on once you've made them. So to begin with, just to start, the first thing we need to think about, as always, is washing our hands. Now, I have washed my hands, but I'm also going to put some anti-bac on them because I'm obviously going to do some cooking. So I want to make sure that my hands are nice and clean. And as we know, we're continuing to wash our hands to get rid of all the germs. So now that I've washed my hands, I'm going to try to do some technology things. And we all know I'm not very good at this. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to show you the ingredients list, which is on my phone. So let's see if I can make this work. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you the ingredients for the cheese biscuits. Herbs of your choice, garlic granules are all choosable. You don't have to use them if you don't want to, but they're there to change the flavour of the biscuit if you want to. But the rest of it, 60 grams of softened butter, 60 grams of cheese and 60 grams of self-raising flour. Now, to be totally honest, I didn't have enough self-raising flour, so I've mixed self-raising flour and plain flour together so that I can make up the 60 grams. So here are my ingredients all weighed out, just so you can have a look at them. So we've got some cheese. I cheated, used grated cheese, but you can obviously grate your own. I've got some softened butter and I've got some flour. And over here are my choices that I'm going to add to mine to change the flavour. So I've got some basil, some garlic, some pepper and some salt. So nice and simple, nice and straightforward. First thing I'm going to do is get the bowl. And into the bowl, I'm going to add my flour. And I'm going to add my butter. Now, I don't mind getting my hands dirty, so I'm going to get my hands in there and we're going to mix it together until it resembles something that looks a bit like breadcrumbs, a bit like dough. It's quite a messy job. Have you been doing cooking at home with your families? Lots of nice time to be able to spend together. I wonder if anyone's done any rainbows. Anyone got any rainbows up outside where they live? There's lots around here, lots for me to look at. If I go out on a nice long walk, I can spot some rainbows. Other people have been putting up bears. There's like a little bear hunt going on, so that when you go out for your once a day exercise and your little wander around, obviously keeping your social distance, there's been lots of things to look at. I saw a tree that had a whole load of Paddington bears attached to it. That was one that was on the news. So I've almost done this now. It's gone a little bit sticky, but that's not a problem. You can always add a bit more flour if you need to. And once I've done this, and we've made something that resembles a dough, I'm then going to add in my cheese. Now mine has gone a bit sticky, as you can see, stuck to my fingers, not a problem. Just going to add a little bit more flour because it's obviously a little bit sticky and we need some flour to tighten up the dough. Flour. I'm going to add that in. You don't want it to be completely sticky, but obviously it still needs to be resemble a dough of some sort. So let's mix this around and then you can see what it looks like. So that little added extra bit of flour is just what I needed. And it's made it into a nice dough that doesn't stick to my fingers. Here we go. So the next thing I'm going to do is just add in the cheese. Here's the cheese. I'm going to add that in. And what we're going to do now is we're going to mix the cheese around into the dough that we've already got. Nearly there. You want to make sure that the cheese works its way through the whole of the dough and doesn't just get stuck to the outside. So those of us who've done some cooking before, if you're not sure, obviously make sure you've got your parents with you when you're doing this. You can't do this on your own. You need to make sure you've got your parents with you so that they can help you, especially when it comes to doing the hot things. They need to do that so that you don't risk getting hurt. Okay, so check with your parents and ask them if they know what kneading is. So you have to knead the dough, and I'm sure they can show you what that is. So there we go. So into the dough now, I've incorporated all the cheese. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to mine. So by a little bit, I mean just a pinch. Pour some in your hand, take a little pinch and sprinkle that on top. And you can get rid of the other bit that you don't use. And I'm going to sprinkle in some pepper. This is, where did I get this one from? I think this is an Aldi buy. Really nice and simple. They do the ones that have got the graters in them. So you can grate it in and it makes cooking much, much easier. So I'm just going to make sure that the pepper and the salt are mixed in completely. And then I'm going to add, for mine, I prefer mine to have a little bit of garlic and a little bit of basil in. So I'm just going to add my herbs in now. So I've got some basil going in. Don't need to measure it, as you can see, just as much as you like. Making sure that mum or dad or whichever grown-up you've got with you, making sure that that grown-up is there to help you so that you don't add too much. Because obviously you have to ask their permission first before you can do any cooking. Right, so I'm going to mix all of that in. And there we have it. Here's the dough. So it's nice and squeezy. You can see all the little black bits in it are meant to be there. That's all the bits that make up the herbs and the spices that I've just added in. So now all I need to do, you can roll it if you want to on a rolling pin, but I don't. I take off a little bit, I make it into a ball in my hand, and then on a work surface, I just flatten it down. You need it quite thin. You don't want it too thick, because if it's too thick, it won't cook. So I round the edges round, and there we go. There's one biscuit. So if you want to spray your surface first with a little bit of oil, you can do, but you don't have to. I've put some foil on my tray so that hopefully it doesn't get stuck. So there goes the first biscuit. I don't know how many it makes, it's up to you. You can make some big ones, you can make little ones, whatever your grown-up says. Let's have a look what we've got now. There's another one. And these are really nice. You can have them as little snacks, or you can have them alongside a meal. They're quite good if you're having a lasagna or a spaghetti bolognese or something like that. If I'm not completely honest, sometimes I just add these with a little bit of cheese or a little bit of pickle on the top and use them a little bit like a sandwich. Right, I think my dough is probably going to make about 6 cheese biscuits. I've made them quite large, and obviously if your grown-up is happy for you to do cooking, you can always change the amount if you wanted to make more. Now, before I started cooking, I did turn the oven on. So this is the bit that the grown-up would need to help with. I've put the oven on at 180 degrees centigrade, which I believe, if you've got a gas oven, is gas mark 4. So if you put it on before you start cooking, get your grown-up to help you. If your grown-up puts it on before you start cooking, it'll be nice and hot by the time you put your biscuits in. Now, this is my last biscuit. The biscuits need to go in the oven. The grown-up needs to put them in the oven, and they need to go in the oven for 8 to 10 minutes. As long as you make sure that they don't go in for too long, otherwise they go a bit too hard. Okay, so I'm going to go and put them in the oven, and then I will come back to you when I get them out. See you later.